Hello everyone, my name is Dipti Nair and welcome to Purvanchal IAS online education platform. We are discussing Indian polity in these sessions, and last time we have seen the historical background of Indian constitution. Today we are going to see the making of constitution. So before proceed for the making of constitution, let's understand some important events that had taken place at the time of Indian history. So, although the year of 1946 became the important year to proceed the Indian constitution, the roots of this making of constitution were deeply rooted in history. At the time of Great Indian Revolt of 1857, the revolutionaries had tried to frame their own constitution. Although their revolt was suppressed by British, but the dream or the seeds of dream they had sown for Indian constitution could not be destroyed. And later, when the movements of freedom under the leadership of Mahatma Gandhi was accelerated, the demand for framing separate constitution for India also got the way forward. For the first time, while explaining the meaning of Swaraj, Mahatma Gandhi had insisted in 1922. Now here, Mahatma Gandhi had insisted in 1922 that Indians should have right to frame their own constitution. Later, in Nehru Report in 1928, the same demand put forward by Pandit Nehru and Motilal Nehru emphasized the demand of making constitution again at this time. In 1934, the communist leader M.N. Roy, Manvendranath Roy, put forward the demand of Constituent Assembly, which was officially accepted by Indian Congress, and Indian Congress put forward that demand officially on the table of Viceroy in 1935. So, technically the demand of Indian Constitution officially put forward in 1935. The demand was accepted in August 1940. This is known as August Proposal. The then Viceroy, Lord Linlithgow, had accepted this demand, and this proposal was known as August Proposal. With some terms and conditions, it was accepted. After that, if we see, the Cripps Mission was an attempt, and the Cripps Mission was an attempt in 1942 by the British government to secure full cooperation and support for their efforts in World War II. So, in 1942, Cripps Mission came, and this was an attempt to get the cooperation of Indian in World War II. Cripps was sent to negotiate an agreement with the nationalist leader for majority Hindu population and Jinnah, speaking for minority population of India. Now Cripps promised the leaders to give a constituent assembly. Along with it, it was promised that British would give dominion status to India after the war. Both the parties, INC, that is Indian National Congress, and League, rejected the proposal. And then Viceroy Wavell called the meeting of Indian leaders in Shimla in 1945, which was known as Shimla Conference. So, after this, in 1945, Shimla conference was held by Viceroy Wavell. Later if we see, due to some say conflicts between Jinnah and INC, this plan was also failed. What was the conflicts? Jinnah refused to give the names to the council unless government acknowledged that only Muslim League was the exclusive representative of Indian Muslim. Obviously, Congress denied to agree upon it. And after this, when World War ended and a new Labour government or Labour Party's government was elected in Britain, this new government was intent on giving independence to India without much delay and sent the cabinet mission with that purpose. Now here in 1946 came the cabinet mission. The members of cabinet mission were Patrick Lawrence, Sir Stafford Cripps and A.V. Alexander. There were 3 members in that. Okay. The cabinet mission's aim was to discuss the transfer of power from British to Indian leadership. Now, here point to be noted is, although Viceroy Wavell was not part of cabinet mission, but still he attended that meeting. Okay. Then, now this cabinet mission called both the leaders or Indian National Congress and Muslim League on the behalf of Hindu majority and Muslim majority to discuss about the dominion state or about the future of India. Now let's see the story ahead, as cabinet mission is the important part of your Indian constitution. So Pandit Nehru along with Maulana Azad. Maulana Azad was president of Congress at that time. Along with him, Pandit Nehru, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel along with Khan Abdul Ghaffar Khan went to attend this meeting on behalf of Congress. So, Khan Abdul Ghaffar Khan. Okay. After that, if we see, these were the representative of Congress, and on the behalf of Muslim League, Muhammad Ali Jinnah, Liaquat Ali Khan and Sardar Nishtar along with Nawab Ismail Khan from Muslim League were the members to attend the meeting. Besides this INC and Muslim League, some members from Sikh, Christian, Dalit, etc. were there. And Nawab of Bhopal, Muhammad Hamidullah, the then the then Chancellor of member of princely states, took part in the meeting on behalf of provinces. You should know that Jinnah was very disappointed due to the inclusion of Muslim members in the INC, and on the top of it, Maulana Azad was the president. He was Muslim and he was the president of INC. So Maulana Azad told Jinnah or tried to console Jinnah that we all are here to discuss the independence of whole India, and other matter are subsidiary to this and can be discussed later when Constituent Assembly will be framed for independent India. But Muslim League, what they did, they became rigid. Jinnah was not ready to hear anybody, or he was not ready to listen to anybody. And Muslim League wanted strong political safeguards for Muslim like party in legislation, whereas Congress party wanted a strong center with minimum powers of provinces. Jinnah asked the mission to facilitate them with separation of Muslim majority groups or Muslim majority states like Sindh, Punjab, Baluchistan in first group, and second group the states of Assam, Bengal and etc., where they could constitute their own constitution for minorities. Congress denied the demand, and hence on this issue Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel along with Pandit Nehru walk out from the meeting. Maulana Azad tried to console Muhammad Jinnah, and he asked Muhammad Jinnah to cooperate for the freedom of independence of India. He said, India is one nation and we demanded elected representative to all the princely states as well. On this, Jinnah said, India is a country with Hindu majority, where in the game of numbers, we the Muslims would be defeated by Congress always. And here, Jinnah strongly demanded the separate constituent assembly for Muslim majority states. The conflict between INC and Muslim League was continued, and since both the parties had many ideological differences, the mission came up with its own set of proposals in May 1946. So, what were the proposals? Let's see. Proposals of cabinet mission. Now, the proposals were the dominion of India would granted independence without partition. किसी भी प्रकार का कोई विभाजन नहीं होगा, क्लियर कहा था. ओके, इसके साथ ही इन्होंने कहा था the provinces would be divided into 3 categories or sections, that is group A, group B and group C. Now, the group A consists of Madras, Central Provinces, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Bombay and Orissa. Group B would be consisted of Punjab, Sindh, Northwest Frontier Provinces and Baluchistan. Group C was consisted of Bengal, Assam. Muslim majority provinces were grouped into 2 groups, and the majority of Hindu or the remaining Hindu majority in one of the group. Okay. The central government at Delhi would have the supreme powers over defense, foreign affairs, communication and currency. The rest of the powers would be transferred to the provinces. The Congress was not ready, or the Congress was not ready to accept this idea of grouping the provinces on the basis of Hindu-Muslim majority and vying for the control of central. It was also against the idea of weak center. The Muslim League did not want any changes in this proposal. Since the plan was not accepted, a new plan proposed by mission in June 1946. June 1946, the new plan came up. The new plan proposed the division into a Hindu and Muslim majority in India, that is two Bharat. Okay. The Congress did not accept the second plan. Instead, it agreed to be the part of Constituent Assembly. And hence, Viceroy invited 14 men to form the interim government. 14 men to form interim government, out of which 5 would be from INC, 5 would be from Muslim League, and remaining 4 were 1 member each representing Sikh, Parsi, Indian Christian and scheduled caste communities. Both the League and Congress were given the right to nominate 5 members to the Viceroy's interim council. the Congress nominated Zakir Hussain Sahab for this council. And here League objected again, saying that only Muslim League is presented, rather Muslim League was presented or represented basically Indian Muslims and no other party. The Muslim League did not take part in it, and hence the Congress leader entered the Viceroy's interim council, and thus Nehru headed the interim government and began the task of framing constitution. Elections were held in the month of July-August. Jinnah and League objected to the new central government, and he urged Indian Muslims to demand for Pakistan by any means. Okay. He called for Direct Action Day on 16th August 1946. Direct Action Day. Communal riots spread and more than 5,000 people were being killed in Calcutta at one day. Wavell tried to talk with Jinnah and Nehru tried to take all the efforts to stop this. This became the Black Day of Indian history. This was going on, but the Constituent Assembly constituted on the behalf of elections, and the elections were conducted, the elections were boycotted by Muslim League. The members of Constituent Assembly were elected through indirect elections, that is by a single transferable vote system for proportional representation. Provinces were subjected to nominate their candidates. Here, in this way, we can see the Constituent Assembly was elected through direct elections along with nominations. Now, if we see, according to Cabinet Mission Plan, the Constituent Assembly constituted of 389 members. This was the plan. Now, out of these 389 members, the British Indian member and Muslim League members shall be there. But Muslim League already boycotted it. So, provinces, the members of provinces were 93 and the members of British India were 296. The seats were allocated on the basis of population, broadly 1 seat for 10 lakh population. Okay. So now after elections, the scene of seats was like members of INC were 208. Okay. Members of Muslim League were 73. See, although they had boycotted the elections, but later they took part in it, right? Then some small parties and independent parties got 15 seats. Small parties. Provinces decided to stay away from these elections, hence 93 seats remained empty. Constituent Assembly consisted of Hindu, Muslim, Sikh, Christian, Parsi, Anglo-Indian and women also were there, along with depressed classes. Okay. Out of total members, only 15 members were women. So the representation of women remained less than 15%. Hence, Constituent Assembly was formed and the first meeting was held on 9th December 1946. Muslim League boycotted the first meeting and demanded for separate Pakistan. Now, on the model of Constituent Assembly of France, the senior most member, Dr. Sachidananda Sinha, was selected as the temporary chairman of Indian Constitution, rather Indian Constituent Assembly, on 11th December 1946. The Constituent Assembly elected Dr. Rajendra Prasad as chairman and Dr. H.C. Mukherjee along with V.T. Krishnamachari as vice president or vice chairman. On 13 December 1946, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru put forward objective resolution. It was introduced by Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, which was later became preamble of Indian Constitution. Later means on 22nd January 1947, it was accepted as preamble of Indian Constitution. B.N. Rao used to work as advisor of Constituent Assembly. The representatives of princely states who had stayed away from Constituent Assembly gradually joined it. If you see, till 28th April 1947, representatives of 6 states were part of it. After the acceptance of Mountbatten Plan of Indian independence that came on 3rd June 1947, the partition was accepted and most other princely states took their seats in the assembly. So, after all these things, on 14th December 1946, Jinnah demanded the separate Pakistan. Now, the Independence Act of 1947 clarified the status of Constituent Assembly and it delegated the sovereign status to the Constituent Assembly, which means through it now Constituent Assembly was able to make ordinary laws for the country. The Assembly also became legislative body. The important thing that had happened was the Muslim League members withdrew from the Constituent Assembly, hence the total strength came down to 299 now. Other functions performed by Constituent Assembly were: first, it ratified the India's membership of Commonwealth in May 1949. It adopted national flag on July 22nd, 1947. On 24th June 1947, the national anthem along with national song was accepted. On 24th January 1950, Dr. Rajendra Prasad was elected as first president of India, and in this way the Constituent Assembly's last session was held on 24th January 1950. The Constituent Assembly appointed a member of commission to deal with different tasks. 8 were the major committees and almost 13 were substantive committees. Among all these, drafting committee was very important, which was set up on 29 August 1947. This was very important because it was given the task of drafting Indian Constitution under the chairmanship of Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar. The other members were, there were total 7 members in this in this drafting committee, and first one was the chairman Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar. Second was N. Gopal Swami Iyengar. Third was Alladi Krishna Swami. Fourth was Dr. K.M. Munshi. Fifth was Sayyid Muhammad Sadullah. Sixth was N. Madhav Rao. Now N. Madhav Rao replaced B. L. Mitra due to rather B. L. Mitra was suffering from ill health. So he resigned from the Constituent Assembly and N. Madhav Rao replaced him here. Okay. T.T. Krishnamachari was the 7th member. T.T. Krishnamachari took place of D.P. Khetan. D.P. Khetan had died at the time of Constituent Assembly. So this was the structure of Constituent Assembly and they started drafting Indian Constitution. Now, in total, they took 2 years, 11 months and 18 days to draft final constitution. Almost 64 lakh rupees spent to draft our constitution, and drafting committee played an important role where drafting committee was working for 141 days. Now let us see the sources of Indian Constitution. Let us discuss the sources of Indian Constitution. I told you earlier, while drafting the Indian Constitution, the Constituent Assembly was focused on drafting the beautiful and the very genuine constitution or very powerful constitution which can make welfare of the state or which can establish the welfare of the states. More than 60 constitutions among all the countries were studied, and the important source of Indian Constitution was Government of India Act 1935, from which almost more than 200 provisions were taken from it with some alterations, like federal system, then governor's office, then structure of judiciary, emergency provisions, public service commission, and lists, that is concurrent list, state list and central list was taken from Government of India Act 1935. The next source was Constitution of Britain. Britain's constitution. From this we have taken the parliamentary system of India, cabinet system, legislative power, nominal head of state, single citizenship, writs, the power of writs, Article 32. Then bicameralism and parliamentary rights were taken from Constitution of Britain. From Constitution of USA, we have taken the fundamental rights first. Then independence of judiciary was the principle. Judicial review, the provision of judicial review had been taken from Constitution of USA. Then removal of judges of Supreme Court and High Courts and the procedure of impeachment of President has been taken from Constitution of USA. The post of Vice President is also taken by USA's Constitution. Okay. Next was Constitution of Ireland. Constitution of Ireland. We took the provisions of nominations in Rajya Sabha. Then directive principle of state policy were taken from Ireland's constitution, and the procedure of election of president has been taken from here. From Constitution of Canada. Constitution of Canada, appointment of state governor, federal system with strong center, advisory jurisdiction of Supreme Court, and vesting residuary powers in central are the provisions taken by Canada's constitution. Then if we go forward from the Constitution of France, we took republic structure and principles of liberty, equality and fraternity had been taken from the Constitution of France. Then if we go ahead from Australia's constitution, we have seen the concurrent list, the provision of joint sitting of Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha, and freedom of trade and commerce and communication. This has been taken from Constitution of Australia. Later, from the Constitution of Germany, we have seen the provisions of emergency had been taken. Then, after Germany, the Constitution of South Africa gave us the procedure of elections of Rajya Sabha along with the amendment procedure of Constitution, the Article 368, right? Then Constitution of Soviet Sangh of Russia gave us the social, economic and political justice, the principle of justice given through social, economic and political structure. Along with fundamental duties were taken from USSR's constitution, and the Constitution of Japan gave us the procedure established by law. So in this way we have seen the structure or the framing of Indian Constitution. Now in next part we will see the features of Indian Constitution along with some important say measures or some important rules they have constituted and parts, schedules and etc. in next session. This constitution consists of 22 parts, 8 schedules along with 395 articles. So this was the story of framing Indian Constitution. I hope you have enjoyed the video. I am Dipti Nair. I took the regards from you, and for watching more videos on Purvanchal IAS, stay connected. Thank you so much.